The lights of the alien ship dimmed into a calm, blue glow as silence filled the long metal corridor. For the first time since they had captured him, Sergeant Marcus Hale finally closed his eyes. His helmet, armor, and weapons were all taken from him. The aliens had expected him to resist, to scream, or at least to show fear. But he didn't. He simply looked around the strange, metallic cell, examined the shimmering walls, and then without saying a word lay down on the cold floor and went to sleep. Across the glass partition, Commander Traal, the alien in charge, stared in confusion. His people, the Volari, were a proud and intelligent race that had explored hundreds of systems. They knew how to break every species they encountered. But this human? He was different. "Why does he sleep?" Traal asked, his voice carrying a tone of disbelief. "He is a prisoner on a hostile ship. Does he not fear death?" His science officer, Velen, flicked his long silver tendrils nervously. "Perhaps he is weak from hunger or injury." "Oh." Traal shook his head. "Weakness does not look like that," pointed at the human, who now slept peacefully, his breathing steady and slow. "That looks like confidence." Marcus slept soundly. His dreams were not pleasant. They were filled with flashes of war, memories of Earth, and faces of comrades long gone, but to him, sleep was a weapon. It was control. It was how humans survived through madness and fear. Hours passed before he woke. He didn't move immediately. He listened first the low hum of alien engines, the faint sound of footsteps outside the cell, the whisper of ventilation. Then he opened his eyes. Through the transparent wall, he saw the alien commander still watching. "Good morning," Marcus said casually, stretching his arms. Traal tilted his head. "Morning. Our ship does not follow your planet's time," Marcus smiled. "Doesn't matter. Feels like morning to me." The alien observed him silently. "You are unarmed. You are alone. You are a prisoner of a species you have never seen before. Yet you sleep, like a child. Why?" Marcus shrugged. "Because I was tired." The room went quiet. Velen looked at Traal with visible confusion. Is he mocking us? But Traal didn't think so. He looked deeper, curious now. The Volari had studied humans for months before the capture. According to their data, humans were emotional, violent, and unpredictable. Yet the one before him seemed calm to calm. Traal decided to test him. The next morning, the guards brought Marcus Fudan, unfamiliar mix of alien protein and green paste. He sniffed it, shrugged, and ate without complaint. "You will answer our questions today," Traal said. "Sure," Marcus replied, sitting down cross-legged on the floor. "Ask away. What are you humans made of? You are fragile, yet you fight like predators. Why?" Marcus chuckled softly. "We're made of everything that didn't want to die." Ow. Traal blinked. "That is not a scientific answer." "It's the only one that matters," Marcus said. "You think we fight because we're strong?" "No, we fight because we have to. On our world, everything tried to kill us: storms, beasts, diseases, even each other. We learned to adapt or die. So, when you take our armor, our weapons, or even our home," he looked up, his gaze steady, "we still have ourselves. That's enough." Traal felt something strange, a small spark of respect. Later, when Marcus was alone again, he hummed quietly. It was an old Earth tune, something from a long-forgotten song. The melody was soft, but full of life. Through the surveillance system, Velen whispered, "Commander," he sings. "He has no fear." Traal frowned. "No. It is not the absence of fear. It is control of it." That night, Traal decided to observe the human up close. When he entered the cell, Marcus didn't even look surprised. "Couldn't sleep?" Marcus asked, grinning. "I do not require sleep as your kind does," Traal replied. "But I am curious. How can a creature like you find peace in such a place?" Marcus leaned back against the wall. "Peace isn't about where you are. It's about what you accept. I can't change this cell, but I can choose how I feel about it." Troll studied him in silence. He noticed how Marcus's pulse stayed calm, his breathing even. There was no sign of stress or panic. "You are strange creatures," Troll said finally. "You face the impossible with patience." Marcus smiled again. "That's humanity for you. We break, we bleed, we lose everything, but we don't stop." Days turned into weeks. The Valari continued their tests. They exposed Marcus to cold, to heat, to isolation. They wanted to see when the human spirit would break. But each time, Marcus responded in ways they couldn't predict. When they turned off the lights, he hummed songs. When they increased gravity, he laughed and said it reminded him of training days when they left him hungry. He joked that it was a good way to lose some weight. The Valari grew frustrated. One day, Velen slammed his datapad on the console. He should have collapsed by now. No creature can maintain composure for this long. Troll didn't answer. He looked through the glass again. Marcus was lying on the floor, asleep. No armor, no tools, no weapons. Just a man, breathing softly in the dark. And suddenly, the realization came to him. Humans didn't need power to be dangerous. Their strength was not in their machines or technology, it was in their minds. They could lose everything and still find the will to smile. He whispered softly to himself. That is what they are. Survivors. When Marcus woke again, Troll was waiting inside the cell. "Tell me," Troll said quietly, "what happens when you lose everything?" Marcus looked up, his eyes calm but sharp. "We rebuild. Stronger than before." Troll nodded slowly. "I believe you." For the first time, the alien commander extended a hand. Marcus looked at it for a moment, then shook it firmly. In that moment, an unspoken understanding passed between them, something neither technology nor war could explain. The alien had finally realized what humans really were, not monsters, not conquerors, but survivors built to endure, to adapt, and to rise again. Troll returned to his command deck, deep in thought. The human had changed something inside him. He looked out at the endless stars, wondering how many other species had misunderstood humanity. In their fear, they had seen humans as a threat. But now, Troll saw them as a mysterious species that could sleep peacefully in the jaws of danger. And as the ship drifted through the void, the commander whispered softly, almost to himself, "They sleep in cages, laugh in the face of death, and rise from ruin. Humanity is not to be feared, they are to be respected." Marcus, back in his cell, smiled faintly as if he had heard those words. Then, once again, he closed his eyes and went to sleep, because he knew no cage, no alien, no fear could take that away from him. The Valari ship floated silently through the black sea of stars. Inside, Commander Troll stood before a large viewing window, watching distant suns burn like tiny sparks in the void. His mind was restless. Ever since the human, Sergeant Marcus Hale, had been captured, nothing had gone according to logic. Humans were supposed to be simple creatures, emotional, violent, limited, but Marcus had proven otherwise. Without weapons, without armor, he had shown something deeper: control, endurance, and calm strength. Troll had begun to wonder if maybe his people had been wrong about Earth species all along. In the cell, Marcus was awake. He sat cross-legged on the floor, humming the same old tune he always did when bored. He had counted every light flicker, every hum from the ship's engines, every time the guards changed their shift. He wasn't afraid. He was patient when the door opened with a hiss. Marcus looked up. Troll entered the room, followed by his science officer, Velen, holding a small holographic tablet. "Sergeant Hale," Troll said, his tone more respectful than before. "We have been studying your kind. We believe we understand humans better now." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Do you now?" "That's a big claim." Velen stepped forward. "You are emotional beings, but you have learned to hide those emotions through logic and discipline. That makes you unpredictable." Marcus smiled faintly. "You're not wrong. But that's only part of it." Troll looked intrigued. "Then tell me the rest." Marcus leaned back against the wall. We're not born fearless, Commander. We just decide not to let fear stop us. You can take everything from a human, but not his will. That's the one thing you can't cage. The alien commander was silent for a moment. Those words echoed in his mind like thunder. Later that day, Trawl met with his council aboard the ship. They were not pleased. "The human must be transferred," said one elder officer, Carnax, his scales glimmering under the blue lights. "He is dangerous. His words affect the crew. Even without weapons, he infects minds." Trawl frowned. "Infects or inspires?" Carnax hissed softly. "You are letting curiosity blind your duty. We are scientists, not philosophers. The human should be contained, studied, and forgotten." But Trawl stood firm. "If a creature without tools can inspire discipline, then maybe we have something to learn from it." The room went silent. The council did not argue further, but their disapproval hung heavy in the air. That night, Trawl returned to Marcus's cell again. "You are becoming a problem," he said quietly. Marcus smiled. "That's a habit of mine." Trawl almost laughed a strange, short sound that surprised even himself. "The council fears you. They think you will infect my soldiers with your ... spirit." Marcus shrugged. "Maybe they're right. Or maybe your soldiers are just starting to remember what courage looks like." The commander tilted his head. "Courage. You speak of it as though it is a weapon." Marcus looked him straight in the eyes. "It is. Sometimes it's the only one that works." The next morning, the Volari decided to test Marcus once more. This time not with pain or isolation, but with choice. Trawl entered the cell, holding a small holographic projector. With a tap of his claw, an image appeared. Earth, blue, green, and alive. Marcus's breath caught for a moment. He hadn't seen his planet in months. "You wish to return home?" Trawl asked. Marcus looked at him suspiciously. "Depends. What's the price?" "No price," Trawl said slowly. "A demonstration. We will release you if you assist us in understanding your species. We wish to simulate an environment of danger and observe how humans lead under stress." Marcus leaned forward. "You want me to help you run an experiment?" "Yes, on a controlled planet with simulated threats. You will not be harmed permanently, but the experience will be real." Marcus smirked. "You want to know what humans really are? Fine, but remember, once you start the test, you might not like the answer." Trawl nodded. "We are prepared." Hours later, Marcus found himself standing on the surface of a gray planet under a red sky. The Volari had built a simulation domain artificial environment filled with forests, ruins, and automated creatures that acted as predators. He was alone again. No armor, no weapons, only his hands and his mind. A voice echoed through a communicator implanted in his ear. It was Trawl. "We will observe you from orbit. The test will last 24 cycles." Marcus cracked his neck. "Got it. Let's see what kind of playground you built." As soon as the test began, the forest around him came alive with movement. Strange metallic creatures emerged, four-legged drones with sharp tails and glowing sensors. Marcus ran, not out of fear, but to assess the terrain. His boots hit the ground with steady rhythm, his eyes scanning every shadow. He found a broken metal pipe, sharp at one end. He grinned. "Guess this'll do." Within minutes, he had turned the pipe into a weapon and used it to disable one of the drones. Sparks flew as it fell to the ground. Up on the Volari ship, the crew watched in silence. Velen spoke first. "He is adapting again. He turns weakness into strength. Observe his pulse. It rises, but not from panic, from focus." Hours passed. Marcus built a shelter, set traps, and studied the drone's patterns. He wasn't surviving by luck, he was planning, learning, evolving. When the sun of the red planet began to set, he lit a small fire using the drone's power cell and pieces of metal. He sat beside it, humming softly again. Trawl watched from the ship, amazed. "This is not combat," Velen said. "This is art." Trawl whispered. "This is humanity." By the 12th hour, the simulation had intensified. The drones attacked in coordinated waves. Marcus fought smart, not hard leading them into traps, using their own energy against them. Every decision was precise. When the final drone fell, Marcus stood alone under the alien sky, breathing hard but smiling. 24 hours, he said to the sky. Not bad for a nap without armor. The simulation faded. The red sky dissolved into blackness, placed by the cold metal walls of the Valari chamber. Troll and his officers stood waiting as Marcus stepped out, covered in dust and scratches. You have completed the test, Troll said. No human we have met could have survived that, Marcus shrugged. Then maybe you've been meeting the wrong kind of humans. The alien commander stared at him in silence for a moment before bowing his head slightly. You've taught us more than any data ever could. You have shown that your species is not defined by tools or strength, but by will. Marcus smiled faintly. Now, you're starting to get it. Later, as Marcus sat in his cell once again, Troll entered one last time. He placed a small device on the table. What's this? Marcus asked. Your freedom, Troll replied. You may return to your people. Marcus looked at the device, then at Troll. You sure about that? Won't your council hate this? Troll nodded slowly. They might, but they cannot unsee what we saw today. Marcus picked up the device, feeling its weight. Then I'll tell my people that somewhere out there, there's a species that finally understands. As he prepared to leave, Troll spoke softly. Tell them this, too. Humanity does not need armor to be powerful. Marcus turned, giving the alien a small smile. I will. And with that, the human who once slept in a cold alien cell vanished in a beam of light, turning home not as a prisoner, but as proof of what humanity truly was. Up on the ship, Velen approached Troll quietly. Commander, do you think we will ever see him again? Troll stared out the window at the endless stars. I think we will see his kind again, and next time we will not fear them. He paused, watching the stars flicker. We will respect them. The stars stretched endlessly as the Valari ship drifted through the dark sea of space. Commander Troll stood before the viewing window, lost in thought. It had been weeks since the human's Argent, Marcus Hale, had left the ship, and yet his presence still echoed in every corridor. The crew spoke about him in quiet tones. Some called him the calm storm, others simply said the one who slept. Troll smiled faintly. The human had left an impression deeper than any weapon could have. He had shown them what true strength was, the strength to endure without hate. But what Troll didn't know was that fate wasn't finished with them yet. Far away, Marcus Hale was home, at least as close to home as space travel allowed. The transport capsule had landed him at an orbital base near Earth's moon. He stepped out into the hangar. Taking a long breath of recycled but familiar air, soldiers saluted him as he passed, eyes wide with surprise. Sergeant Hale, one of the officers, said, We thought you were gone. The Valari took your ship months ago. Marcus smiled lightly. Guess they decided to give it back. He didn't tell them everything, not about the tests, not about Commander Troll, not about the strange respect that had formed between enemies. Some things were beyond military reports. Some things were personal. Over the next few days, Marcus was debriefed by his superiors. They asked endless questions about the aliens, their weapons, their methods. Marcus answered simply, leaving out anything that might start another war. When one of the generals asked, What are they like, these Valari? Marcus paused before replying. They're curious, he said slowly. They see us as dangerous. But maybe that's because we remind them of themselves. The general frowned. You mean they're like humans? Marcus nodded. In their own way, yes. But they don't understand why we keep fighting, even when we're outmatched. They think we're reckless, I told them. It's not recklessness. It's hope. The room went quiet. No one had anything to add. That night, Marcus sat alone in his small living quarters, staring out at the glowing curve of Earth through the window. It looked peaceful from up here, so blue and calm. He thought of Troll, of the Valari ship, and of the strange moment when a human and an alien had finally understood each other. He whispered softly, You wanted to know what humans really are, Trawl? I hope you found your answer. You didn't know that somewhere across the stars, Trawl was whispering almost the same words. The Valari ship continued its mission, exploring new systems. But something had changed. When they encountered new species, Trawl gave different orders than before. No more sudden captures, no more forced studies. Instead, he sent messages of contact and understanding. Vela, the science officer, once asked, "Commander, why the change? We used to study them directly. Now we only observe." Trawl turned from the window. "Because understanding is not taken, it is shared. The human taught me that." Svelin tilted his head. "Do you believe all humans are like him?" Trawl smiled slightly. "If even one is, then that is enough." Months passed peacefully. But peace in space never lasted long. One day, the Valari ship detected a distress signal from a nearby system. The message was faint, but clear it was human. Trawl's heart raced. "Open a channel." The signal came through, crackling and weak. "This is Earth Vessel Odyssey. Attacked by unknown drones, systems failing. Request assistance." Without hesitation, Trawl ordered, "Prepare for warp. We're going to help them." Velen looked uncertain. "Commander, the Council will not approve. Humans are not our allies," Trawl replied firmly. "They are not our enemies either." When the Valari ship dropped out of warp, they saw the human vessel badly damaged, smoke and debris floating in space. A swarm of automated attack drones circled it like predators. "Target the drones." Trawl commanded. Blue plasma bolts flashed across the void as the Valari ship opened fire, destroying drone after drone with precise shots. The human ship sent no return firet, was too damaged to fight back. Within minutes, the skies cleared. Silence returned. "Send repair drones," Trawl ordered. "Get them stabilized." Velen hesitated. "Commander, why risk our lives for them?" Trawl looked at him calmly. "Because a human once risked his life to teach us what courage means." Inside the damaged human ship, chaos reigned. Fires burned in the corridors. Crew members struggled to keep systems online. Then, out of nowhere, alien drones entered not to attack, but to help. They sprayed fire suppressants, sealed breaches, began repairing hull sections. Captain Alina Ross of the Odyssey watched in disbelief. Who sent these? Moments later, a transmission appeared on the main screen. An alien face filled the monitor comm. Silver-eyed, familiar. "This is Commander Trawl of the Valari," he said. "We detected your distress signal and came to assist." Elena blinked. "Velari, you're the same species that captured one of our men months ago." "Yes," Trawl said softly. "And one of your men changed everything for us." The captain froze. "You mean Sergeant Marcus Hale?" Trawl nodded. "He taught us what humanity truly is. Consider this, a return of that lesson. When the Odyssey was stable again, Marcus received the news on Earth. A Valari ship had rescued a human crew. He couldn't believe it. Trawl, you really did it," he murmured. The next day, he was sent to meet the Valari ship in orbit for an official diplomatic exchange, the first peaceful meeting between their two species. When the docking gates opened, Marcus stepped through wearing a simple uniform. Across from him stood Trawl, the same composed alien commander who had once watched him sleep in a cell. They looked at each other for a long moment before Trawl broke the silence. "You look stronger," Sergeant hailed. "And you look wiser, Commander." Trawl's eyes gleamed. "I see now that peace requires bravery too. Perhaps even more than war." Marcus nodded. "Peace is harder to fight for, but it lasts longer." The two leaders met privately in the Valari observation chamber, just as they had months ago. The stars outside shimmered endlessly. Trawl spoke quietly. "Your people will want to know why we helped you," Marcus chuckled. "They'll think it's a trick at first. But when they see you meant it, things will change." The alien commander looked thoughtful. "The galaxy is full of fear. Perhaps together, our species can replace some of that fear with understanding." Marcus smiled faintly. "That's the real power, Commander. not in weapons, but in trust. Later, as the human shuttle prepared to leave, Trawl accompanied Marcus to the airlock. "Do you ever sleep now?" Marcus asked playfully. Trawl tilted his head. "Sleep." Marcus grinned. "You spent half your time watching me do it last time? I figured maybe you'd try it yourself." The alien made a strange sound to laugh. "Perhaps I will. If it helps me understand humans better." Marcus extended his hand once again. Trawl looked at it, then clasped it tightly. "Take care of your people," Marcus said. "And you of yours," Trawl replied. As the shuttle drifted away, Marcus looked back through the window. The Valari ship glowed in the dark, its lights shining like a silent promise. He thought about how it all began with one man sleeping in a cell, unarmed and alone, while an alien watched in confusion. Now, two civilizations stood at the edge of peace. He smiled softly to himself. Sometimes, all it takes to change the galaxy is one quiet night's sleep. Meanwhile, on the Valari ship, Trawl stood by the window once again. Velen approached him quietly. Commander Velen asked, "Do you think humans will ever trust us fully?" Trawl kept his eyes on the stars. "They already have. One didn't, and that was enough to start something greater." He paused, his voice calm but full of meaning. "Because that is what humans really are. Builders of hope. Even in the darkest night,